Well, greetings one and all, and welcome back to another video here with your host Andrew. Today you join me for a pen perspective on this pen in here, which is the Nakaya Akitsu-shima. We're going to be doing some artwork featuring a tiger lily and a very apt dragonfly, and we're going to be using some Kakamori ink, which is called Makuri. So why don't you join me over at the table where we'll have a closer look at the pen and we'll do some nice artwork. So, see you in a sec. This week we're looking at a personal pen within my collection, and one I've only just purchased. Nakaya is a company that needs little introduction, and one that I've spoken about on a numerous amount of occasions. Now, before we start on today's video, I just want to give a quick thanks, and that goes out to Catherine at Sakura Fountain Pen Gallery in Belgium. I'll speak a little bit more about the purchasing experience later on in the video, but needless to say, the presentation was up to Catherine's incredible standards, and I really want to thank her from the bottom of my heart for packing the items in such a beautiful manner. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the background. So I'm just going to give a little bit of background about Nakaya. I have spoken about them in previous videos, so this is just going to be a brief introduction. Nakaya, as we know them today, is a new company. They have been operating for around about 26 years or so, which is a while, but when one considers how long Pilot, Sailor and Platinum have been trading for, Nakaya are positively new. Nakaya specialises in urushi and makie, and as such are more pricey than your regular pens. For those that don't know, Nakaya and Platinum are closely linked together, with retired Platinum employees making up a bulk of the company. However, the urushi and makie are split between different regions of Japan, namely Wajima being one of the more popular ones. Akitsu-shima translates to Dragonfly Island, and this is what the motif is based on. I will speak a little bit more about the techniques later in this video. Interestingly, it's rumoured that many years ago a past emperor remarked about how Japan looked similar to two dragonflies mating, which is how it came up with the name of Dragonfly Island. Since then, dragonflies, which are now referred to as tombo, have been considered symbols of happiness, strength, courage and success. This is yet another example of culture being celebrated, and as such shows how Nakaya really understands the importance of keeping tradition alive in Japan. I could talk forever about the background to this pen, but I'm sure for many of you, you'd rather just see the pen. So let's move on to the next section, that being the unboxing. I had requested Catherine to have the Nakaya wrapped in a furoshiki, which is essentially a square piece of material typically used in Japan for wrapping presents. This I'd also purchased from Catherine, and I felt that this gave the purchase an even more special experience of unwrapping. All the other items were beautifully gift wrapped with paper and ribbons, and I'll be talking about Sakura Fountain Pen Gallery soon in another video. For those which have seen my previous videos, you will notice that this presentation isn't too dissimilar, in that the pen comes with a beautifully presented wooden Palowina box. On top is adorned with kanji characters that translate to special fountain pen, as well as the Nakaya logo. Lifting off the lid, you're presented with several items such as the pen sitting in its pen kimono, ink cartridges, a converter, both of which are Platinum branded. The pen sits beautifully on a plush red velvet bed and really goes a long way to impressing the traditions of Japanese presentation. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the practicality. This pen could be categorized in one of two ways, depending on your personal tastes. The first glaring omission is the lack of a clip. For some this could be an issue, but from my perspective we have to take into account the design of the makie. You see, quite often clips come in bare metal and as such can distract from the design, As an artist, we are told to give the viewer a point of reference to focus on and try not to include elements that can distract. So I'm glad that this pen didn't come with a clip. In terms of the length of the pen, it is considerably longer than the Piccolo, and as such could be a better choice for those with larger hands. I still prefer the finials and the shape of the Piccolo, but we'll talk about the design later. It should be noted that Nakaya offers the Piccolo in a long model from the Aesthetic Bay company in Singapore, a Raigori from Nakaya, which is essentially the base of the dorsal fin too, and lastly, one word which I can never pronunciate, I believe is the Nakaya from nibs.com. So if you do prefer a longer pen on that Piccolo model, you do have the actual options there. Section wise, it is decent, and with the ability for the pen to sit comfortably in the hand, I think this pen will feel particularly well balanced for many out there. Of course, with the pen not coming with a clip, you'll want to consider how you transport this pen. Fortunately, the pen does come with a pouch to keep it protected, but I would not particularly feel comfy putting this in my trousers or shirt pocket. Still, it's great that the pen comes with some form of protection, and as such, you could always place it in a small pencil case or a pen roll, which is generally how I transport my pens to meets. Overall, I find that this pen to be practical. You can certainly get to writing quickly enough thanks to the quick uncapping. One note, please do not post your urushi pens. Whilst urushi is very tough, it is prone to micro scratches and as such can lead to damaging the artwork or urushi finish. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the design of the pen. There's a bit to cover here today, so this is where I'll be focusing the majority of today's pen perspective. Firstly, we're going to talk about the urushi techniques. Unlike my previous Nakaya, which utilises the same Yaeko Makie on a Tamanuri red background, there are a few more steps involved with the Akitsu-shima. The pen base uses black urushi, not too dissimilar to any other technique, and then a shui urushi is applied on top, which is essentially a darkish red. Byakudan Nuri is where the pen starts to get interesting. This technique uses either gold or aluminium foil powders to create the background for the Yaeko Makie. Powders are sprinkled over the top of the shui layer, and then another layer of shui is applied. It's with polishing we are now getting to see the pen in all its glory. Give it a year or two and the pen's background will get brighter and brighter, allowing the next process to really stand out. Yaeko Makie is a wonderful technique in which a thick black urushi is applied to the barrel in a decorative manner and creates such a wonderful relief, giving so much dimension to this pen. This is honestly a pen you need to see in person, as the relief really can't be conveyed as well in photos or video. Of course, obtaining a pen such as this is not cheap, so I hope that this video goes some way in expressing the beauty in which this artist has expressed. The fact that this pen has motifs wrapping around the entire barrel makes me extremely happy. Not 1 inch of the pen has been left, and as such I feel this gives the pen a form of completion. This was something that I felt was a little bit lacking on the Enjoying the Mooncat. Still, this is reflected in the price. As mentioned prior, I want to reiterate Nakaya's conscious design choices. Not all the pens they sell you may consider to be traditional patterns. If you consider dragonflies, for example, they're pretty common everywhere, and it's certainly not something that one would associate with Japan. But as I have done a lot more research into this pen, I've really grown to appreciate how dragonflies are so symbolic. Part of the reason to why these designs may not be apparent in tradition, I feel has more to do with the execution of the makie design. You see, Nakaya deploys a lot more styles of makie beyond that of the traditional forms that Namiki uses. This I feel shows how diverse makie can be. But on the flip side, newcomers to the hobby who may have seen makie before on other ornate objects may find some of Nakaya's approach a bit different. It's this difference that I feel has an effect on how tradition could potentially be perceived. Unfortunately, with English not being Japan's first language, some of the translations do get a little bit lost on Nakaya's website, and if I had one wish, it would be to have more detail about the design aspects and how they pay homage to Japan's cultural history. Overall, I really love how the dragonflies stand out in the foreground. This really contrasts wonderfully with the glistening oranges and yellows that adorn the barrel of the pen. Is there anything bad about the design? Not really, but I can't help but wonder what this pen may look like with even more pronounced aluminium or gold powders. Okay, so this pen is beautiful in a nutshell. I love the fact that the pen resembles that of Japanese culture, and I love how these dragonflies look like they're darting about in a setting or rising sun. It really is a poetically beautiful pen. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the writing and drawing experience. Writing with this pen could seem like an acquired taste. You see, it provides a feedback not too dissimilar of writing with a pencil. It's no way unpleasant, but for those that prefer a smoother, glassy writing experience, I'm afraid this pen may not be for you, unless of course you're happy with a slightly broader nib. Now, you could get Nakaya to smooth it out more with thanks to their customization guide, but as a stock pen, this may be a little bit more of a hassle. Still, as I am one of those people that fall into the camp of preferring a little bit of feedback whilst writing and drawing, this pen is perfect. What I especially love is this soft fine nib with which it's equipped with. Flow is always consistent, and even when flexing the nib it always seems to keep up, especially with drier inks, interestingly. Nib choices are wide and plentiful, with one of the best customization experiences known to mankind. I have mentioned this before, but for those that are new to the channel and new to Nakaya, I will reiterate. This is like customizing a Rolls Royce, just in a pen form. If you want an oblique nib, you got it. Fast writer maybe? Sure, no problem. Nakaya can adjust the flow to meet your demands. I really love drawing with this Nakaya, mainly for its wonderful thin lines. But, and this is a big but, you can get a fantastic drawing experience for the fraction of a price. But I'd argue that Nakaya's charm and presence in the hand will really inspire you to pick up this pen and draw and write more frequently. I'd implore you to check out Nakaya and to try and spec up a nib. There are a few companies that offer what Nakaya do, and as such you will have a fantastic time choosing from a cornucopia of nib platings and sizes. Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about customer care from Nakaya and from Sakura Fountain Pen Gallery. Okay, this section is going to be relatively simple to speak about. Both Nakaya and Sakura Fountain Pen Gallery are incredible. Both companies respond quick and both offer a fantastic service to the customer. A prime example of Sakura is in their presentation of your parcel. Each product comes wrapped in beautiful paper and ribbon. This really feels like Christmas, your birthday, all rolled into one. Requests from Catherine are usually acknowledged, and she will try to accommodate you in the best way that she can. For example, I'd ask for the Nakaya to be wrapped in a furoshiki and have the nib changed to a soft vine. Both requests were honoured, and as such, a prime example of why I keep going back. Now looking at Nakaya, my experience has always been fantastic with Nakaya, dealing with them directly. They are extremely accommodating and will bend over backwards to help accommodate any requests one may have. I have had talks in the past about getting some artwork of mine done onto some pens, and I very much look forward to experiencing this on my next purchase. Now, I told you that this section was going to be very simple. Overall, I will reiterate, both companies are an absolute gem to actually deal with, and you will be very well looked after if you either purchase from Nakaya or from Sakura Fountain Pen Gallery. Okay, so now let's give you some final thoughts on this beautiful, beautiful pen. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the content so far today. I have pretty much covered everything which I feel needs to be covered, but I do have some final thoughts on this pen. Okay, so this was a personal pen purchase, and there will always be a bias towards this, because simply put, I like it. I like the aesthetics of it. But is this pen for everyone? No. Simply put, no. These pens are extremely expensive, and as such, some people just won't be able to afford them. And I find that a great shame, especially for those which want to venture into some urushi or makie. Overall, there is so much charm to owning a Nakaya. The idea that the pen is pretty much fully handmade, ranging from the hand-turned ebonite barrels to the beautiful application of urushi and makie. I just love how the pen sparkles subtly in certain lights, and I love the wrap design of the dragonflies. To finalise my thoughts on this pen, simply put, I'm over the moon. The only issue being, I want more. Well, that's it folks, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's content. As always, I'd like to invite you to sit back and enjoy the rest of today's art. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye for now.